We've focused a lot here on the power of stories to change minds. However, frequently the story may be enough to help people open their minds, but it may not entirely change their minds. In these cases, master influencers use stories as a first step to inviting others into sharing personal experiences. Vicarious narratives can be used in combination with actual experience to great advantage. In fact, stories are often told for the sole purpose of propelling people into their own personal experience. In this case, think about providing those people you're going to be speaking with first a vicarious experience, your own story, and then personal experience by trying your products. This is where being ready becomes important. You'll also want to make sure your Square device is all set up and ready to capture a retail sale. You can learn more about this in Chapter 5 of your Ready for Business manual. Let me show you the power of stories by sharing with you the story of Josie King. Josie King was a little girl who loved to dance. She was 18 months old, had brown eyes and light brown hair, and she had just learned to say, "I love you." In January of 2001, Josie fell into a hot bath and burned herself badly. Her parents rushed her to Johns Hopkins Hospital, where she was admitted into the pediatric intensive care unit. Much to her parents' relief, Josie recovered quickly. She was transferred into the intermediate care floor and was expected to be released within days. But Josie's mom noticed that something was wrong. She said, quote, "Every time she saw a drink, she would scream for it. And I thought this was strange because I was told not to let her drink. While a nurse and I gave her a bath, she sucked furiously on the washcloth." End of quote. Josie's mom told the nurse Josie was thirsty and asked her to call a doctor. The nurse assured her that everything was okay. She even asked another nurse to check on Josie, but this nurse also confirmed that everything was just fine. Josie's mom called back twice during the night and was at her daughter's bedside by 5:30 the next morning. By then, Josie was in crisis. As her mom rubbed her feet, Josie died. Just 2 days before her scheduled release, Josie had died of thirst. Despite her mother's repeated pleas for help, this sweet little girl died of misused narcotics and dehydration. When writing our book, Influencer, we studied Dr. Don Berwick from Harvard. He was convinced that over 100,000 lives could be saved each year in American hospitals if healthcare workers could be influenced to change a few vital behaviors. Dr. Berwick explained that the problem's not bad people, it's bad systems. So he invites the system's constituents to make Josie's story into an experience. Now please note on this video, he uses the term injured patient, which refers to a patient that's been injured in the hospital by a healthcare worker's mistake.
The power of the individual story is really stunning to me. I know the statistics, we have the research, but when you finally see the photo of the child or hear a nurse start to cry as she describes her involvement in the care, everything changes. Once I was a faculty person in a seminar here at Harvard that was one of a series of what they call executive sessions, in which they invite major leaders from around the United States in any industry. It could be police or energy, or in this case healthcare, into a room to discuss an issue. And there was an executive session organized on patient safety. I think about a dozen CEOs of billion-dollar healthcare systems. And they met 3 times a year for a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning to dig into the issue. The issue was safety. And for the first 2 or 3, it was good. I mean, they were being acquainted with the best literature and great experts, but it didn't have passion in it. There wasn't enough will, I guess, to know that these people would actually do something. And then I had an idea on the spur of the moment. I said, I've got an idea. Why don't, before the next session, would each of you please find an injured patient in your hospital or your system and investigate the injury, but do not delegate it. Do it yourself. Talk to the patient if they're still alive, talk to the family, talk to the nurse, talk to the doctor. You're the detective. And then next time we get together, everyone Just tell your story. Tell what you found. Unbelievable. The next session, I remember, I didn't know this would happen, but they came back and we had real, we're talking three-piece suit, top-end executives, one by one, choke up, several in tears, as they just told the story of what they had discovered and what it meant to them and their own self-image and leadership, the illusions they'd had about their own organization. And I think everything changed after that. Some of those executives became national champions for improvement and centered patient safety on their organization screens for a decade. It's about touching the individual.
Dr. Berwick uses Josie's story, a vicarious experience, to influence others to have their own direct experience. The direct experience of investigating the incidences in their own hospitals motivates them to take action and do something about patient safety. Josie King died of thirst. The solution to her crisis was so simple, she just needed a drink of water. Evil people did not withhold water from Josie. The bad systems, the clutter, the activity that the staff was involved in allowed Josie to be lost. Similarly, let's remember that taking action is where real change takes place. Providing a vicarious experience, your story, with an opportunity to experience the product is an incredible way to change hearts and minds. I have a question for you. Were you moved by Josie's story? Did you experience strong emotion? Think about what just happened. I told you a true story that did not happen to me. It didn't even happen to Dr. Berwick. And yet it still provided you with a vicarious experience, an emotional experience. This is the power of stories. When you're early in the business, you may have not yet had your own successful experience with the product. That's okay. While you follow the program, share with others the story that first interested you in using the product. For example, you could say, Mary's lost 27 pounds by following this program, and my goal is to lose 20 pounds. Share someone else's story about the product until you develop your own.
Let's conclude our story building efforts by detailing our results. These could still be in the process of taking shape. Your story will evolve as you practice with your team and begin sharing it with others. Again, your story is the tool you will use to open doors. The conclusion of my story, the effect of the cause. What happened as a result of the action I took? How was my problem solved or the situation improved thanks to Visi? How did I feel? Invitation. Either invite them to personally experience the product for 30 days and use your Square Card reader and app to conduct the retail sell. Let your new customer know that any questions they have can be answered by one of your qualified team members, or involve one of your team members to close the business and sign them up as a new distributor. Be sure to set a specific appointment. Determine who, does what, by when.